Now this is probably going to make me sound like a little bit of an idiot, but I'm going to say it anyway. While I may consider myself a full-on geek nowadays, keeping up with with geeky shows and geeky media, there was a time when that wasn't quite the case. Now the example I'm going to go with today is that for years I thought that I only knew about 4 Batman villains, and that was because for many years my only exposure to Batman was this, the 1966 movie based on the Adam West series. And because of this, I only knew of 4 Batman villains. The Penguin, the Joker, the Riddler, and Catwoman. 4 fairly iconic ones, but still, at that time I had no idea of the extent of Batman's villains gallery. I'll be honest with you, I didn't really find out how big of a comics rogues gallery he actually had until several years later when I came into possession of this, Lego Batman the video game. From there I discovered that the Dark Knight has one of the richest comics rogues galleries there ever has been. I mean, there are some fairly iconic ones, such as Superman's rogues gallery, Flash's rogues gallery, and even Spider-Man's rogues gallery. But Batman, along with them, he has one of the richest comics rogues galleries there is. Now, I'd like to analyse because of this game, in years to come, whenever I heard these villains, I would always separate them into the categories that they were in the game. So, with that being said, this is going to be a series of 4 videos where I'm going to analyse each particular group, the members they had, and the thing they've had off the screens since then. Now, I'm not going to be talking very much about TV shows because because I'm sure each of them has been successful outside of there, appearing in a multitude of TV shows and animated movies and such. I'm only really going to be focusing on the big live action movies that have come up since then. Now the first batch of villains you fight in the game comes from the storyline The Riddler's Revenge. And the 5 villains that you have in there are Clayface, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, Two-Face, and Riddler. Now in terms of the first one, Clayface, he is the only one out of this group who has yet to really be portrayed in a live action movie. I mean, he's appeared in animated shows, but he's yet to make the jump to the live action big screen. However, I'm not saying it can't be done. I mean, Marvel and Hollywood have proven with Spider-Man 3 that they could bring Sandman to life, and with all the stuff they did with Sandman, I'm sure it wouldn't be that difficult for DC to do something similar with Clayface. I mean, some of the effects they did with the Sandman were pretty darn impressive, and if they could apply something like that to Clayface, well, he's not the brightest of villains, but he could make for a fairly interesting one, especially one who can morph into practically anything he chooses. Now, the second villain on the list is Mr. Freeze, and is one of my personal favourite villains. I mean, he's a Shakespearean villain. He's in that style. He's a Shakespearean tragedy, is what I meant to say. Now, so far, if I'm not counting animated movies for now, the only live-action appearance, and you can take it or leave it, is by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1997 movie, Batman and Robin. And some people really don't like this, but in my personal opinion, I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger would have been a bad choice, Mr. Freeze. It was just because of bad direction and bad dialogue. But if they managed to sort that out in the future, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger would be a decent pick for Mr. Freeze. I mean, yeah, we're used to seeing him as killer robots, but to be honest with you, I don't think he did that bad, and there were some parts of the story they did get right. It was just they mixed it in with a whole lot of ice humour. I mean, Mr. Freeze would never be that comical. But for what we got, it's decent. And the third villain in this particular group was Poison Ivy. And in terms of live action movies, she has had one portrayal, once again the 1997 movie by Uma Thurman. Now, once again, I don't think this was a bad casting choice. I mean, she could certainly act kind of sensual and pit the heroes against each other with her womanly wiles and her pheromones. Once again, it was down to bad directing and kind of bad dialogue. But Uma Thurman, I feel she could have given us a really good Poison Ivy. I mean, we're getting others these days with Gotham, but I think she could have been decent. The fourth on the list is Two-Face, and in terms of the live-action movies, he has had two portrayals. Once in the 1994 movie, Batman Forever. It's played by Captain America and Men in Black actor Tommy Lee Jones, and the other in the iconic Dark Knight portrayal portrayed by Aaron Eckhart. Now, in terms of kind of how well these portrayed each other, you need to it depends really on which comic version you're looking for. If you're looking for the iconic kind of criminal, the one who'll just deliberately steal things or go full on, then Tommy Lee Jones is the way to go. Once again, I don't think he was that bad. I mean, there are some people who feel he just went way over the top. But if you're looking for something kind of more gritty and serious and some guy could actually put a bullet in you, then Eckhart is more sinister by far. And the final one on the list is the Riddler. Now, in terms of this, the 1966 movie had him once again inhabited by the classic actor Frank Gorshin, and he won awards for his performance of the Riddler, so nothing to be afraid about that. And the other big appearance he had was by Jim Carrey in Batman Forever. And I'm going to be honest, I think it was actually perfect casting. I mean, if you're looking for someone to just go bonkers, and the Riddler pretty much is bonkers, Jim Carrey is the way to go. I mean, you're looking for a man who continually wants to show he's more intelligent than Batman and will go to bonkers levels to prove that, even if it means increasingly contrived puzzles. And to be honest, that's what Jim Carrey has done over the years. I mean, if you look at his movies like Bruce Almighty, Liar Liar, or even Ace Ventura, he does crazy to a whole new level, and to be honest, I think it was pretty good casting. I mean, once again, you can't really save him from the bad dialogue at the time, or the slightly bad direction, but he's a good choice for it. I mean, with all the choices on this list, for those that have appeared on film, I think for the ones that were good, brilliant. For the ones that people tend to get a bit snippy about, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Uma Thurman, Tommy Lee Jones, and Jim Carrey, I think they personally did alright in their roles. They inhabited the characters well. It's just a little bit of bad writing and bad direction. Anyway, if you'll join me in my next video in this particular series, I'll be talking about Group 2, which will consist of Bane, Catwoman, Killer Croc, Man-Bat, and Penguin. Until then, see you later.